well, and she's also the co-host with Kelly of the Awesome Journey at Tuesdays, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We've got Natalie, who was here Tuesday with Kelly. So there's a circle starting to come together here. And, it's such a wonderful breath of fresh air and creativity. So happy all of us could come together today and share this. Chat's open. We definitely depend on you to direct us. We want to be as relevant. And I know in Christy and so many other people's cases, we are very into helping people and helping you. And if we can help one person and hopefully maybe another or two, we've justified our time here. And hopefully we model that behavior that you can continue to pay it forward. So with that, I'll open it up with Christy. I know the key is the word is serve. Uh, Welcome, Christy. What's new with serve?
Serve. Well, hello and happy Friday. And I hope people are going to have some long, long weekends. Like 4th of July is on Tuesday. But anyway, I'm sorry, I paused. Auntie Kelly. Is that Kelly?
Yeah, for sure.
Kelly, I get it because she is Auntie Kelly to my dogs. Cute. That was cute. You just had me stop there. Anyway, serve. I started working at 13 as at a retail shop, and since then, I've always been serving people, paying it forward. I consider myself a servant leader, but serving is who I am. How can I serve you? Customer service, hospitality, helping people with their job searches. I'm serving them. So that's me. I serve. I serve to help others. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said to me, they're like, "You like to help people see the silver lining in life," and so and she used the word, "You serve this on a silver platter, that you serve to them what they can see." So no, serving is me. I mean, could be my new name, serve.
Maybe middle name.
My middle name. There you go.
Okay.
Natalie?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you still hear me, right? I just turned the volume down a little bit. Okay, good. So when I saw the word serve, first of all, I love S's. I love words that starts with S's. It's a beautiful word. It's an inviting word, and I looked it up. I just wanted to see a quick definition, what the dictionary says. But it's service to work for, to help, to aid, and assist. And also, that's me. That's also me, Christy. And but I kind of went, I did a little introspection, and I was like, well, how did what do I do to serve that really shows like that people can be noticed? And like when you see like these women or men that like have trucks of like food, and they like bring the food into a place, and like something that's concrete that you can see, oh, these people are serving, like what they're doing is amazing. But to serve and to aid in all the little ways that we do every day, every chance we get, it's not noticed, but it makes a big difference at the end. And yeah, I'm always the first one to say, yeah, how can I help? What can I do? And I'm very what's the word? Um, what's the word? Oh my goodness! When you're quick to do something, um,
Spontaneous.
I'm spontaneous. Thank you for helping me with that word. So I'll do something quickly, as fast as I can, to help someone, and it comes naturally, and I think I'm resourceful, so I love that. But people need to let you know how they need help, so you know uh, it- it's important to stay attentive to how you can serve others.
Well, those are beautiful points and perspectives. When I think of serve, it's almost as if something's presented to you, right? You know, where a person at a restaurant will serve your food, and you know when it's presented to you, one can equate serve to a present, right? Someone's providing you a gift, you know, when they serve you. It could be a gift of company, it could be a material object, but you know, they are doing something for you, you know, that you might not have gotten or had without them. And I think that's the best service. You know, that whole story with give a guy a fish, he'll eat for a day, teach a person how to fish, they could eat forever. Is that's the service I think we provide, because all of a sudden someone says, I didn't ever think of it that way, you know. And if you can think of a word differently, maybe you can take a sentence and then take it back to the person and ask yourself, what are they serving up today here, right? And you can even ask them how you chose that to serve me, you know, because I think that's the curiosity point of life makes all words jump off the page, you know, the wondering why, good and bad. And, you know, until you question people, you won't get answers, you know,
Hmm.
they won't get the questions they need in order for them to understand. So I think understanding comes in with service, and that's how it builds. But before we go too deep, let's just run through the names. I'd like to get everybody recognized. Kelly, good morning. Ashif's here every day. Was actually on the show earlier. Harvey's here. Harvey is busy, and he's moved to Sundays because of extended and expanded job responsibility. So always glad to have you, Harvey. Rita's taken over Wednesdays. Great to see you, Rita. Rita's working really hard behind the scenes to make things happen here also. Uh, Roxanne's here. Roxanne was a great guest. Hope all's well, Roxanne. Dennis, our resident rhymer. Agree, we deserve to serve others, help us feel good too. And that's so key when you can serve and serve yourself at the same time just by serving others and giving value. I quite like the tennis version of serve. It's the start of something. You serve the ball and try and play the game to the best of your ability. So good, Harvey, for you to say that, because every word we talked about has to do with facial expression, tone, delivery, you know, that carries with that word. And a lot of times, initiation is the first person who serves first, right? If someone says, let me share something of mine with you, here's half a chocolate bar, right? Pretty soon you're thinking, what do I got to share? And you feel bad if you don't have something to share. You're almost like, okay, I make a note. Next time I bring the chocolate bar, you know, or at least I'll bring a thank you later on for sharing that. And I think service is all promoted by awareness and reciprocation. When you say thank you and someone doesn't say welcome, you kind of get lost a little bit. You know, you went halfway, or someone says hello and they look away, you know, versus, oh, thank you for noticing, blah, blah, blah. Here we go with Rita. When we serve others, we get much more ourselves. You know, like we say, everything we talk about here is a muscle and you can exercise it. And if you're not serving enough, beef it up, you know, and it's the action of doing something for others. Because, you know, I had a gentleman from Pakistan who came to work for me, turned out to be an amazing, gifted person who went really far in the industry. And he used to always call me Mr. Don. And he says, you know, I like the idea of, you know, charity. I don't know much about it. You know, how does it work? And I told him, and then the next day he says, you know, I decided when I make a lot of money, I'm going to start giving to charity. And I said, well, why don't you give a little money while you're making a little money, you know? And then when you make more money, you can add more, you know? But getting into it is more important than how much you give. And it's just a giving. So, little clue to what my prop may have been on serve, probably a big silver platter. Hello, everyone. I believe we are here to serve. Dr. Joanne's just great. Had a good show with Dr. Marilyn. Dr. Joanne will be back. Harvey talked. This is why hearing other points of views is so important. I like this one. Sheaf says, Serving is extending, empowering, and accepting. So true. Dennis, agree. We appreciate helping others. We feel less sorry for ourselves. Well, Krista, you spent so much of your time helping others. I know with job searches, with a lot of first responders. Uh, how has served you?
Well, it doesn't, I battled with depression most of my life. And once I started really paying it forward, um, giving, serving to other people, helping other people, just saying let me know how I can help you. I don't do depression because I'm outside of myself. I'm helping other people. And instead of sitting, and wanting people to take care of me, I'm a caretaker. I've realized. Well, I guess I always was. I just never took care of myself. So once I took care of myself with love, I'm able to serve that to other people. On the awesome journey, as I said to Chris, tell me what you want me to do. I mean, I've done fundraisers and just, I have a loud voice. And I've learned that when I have a loud voice, I can get other people to serve as well. It's getting out of your ego.
Mm.
Um, and because when we sit on our ego and we're like, well, I'm going to help them, so they're going to owe me. I don't ever look at that way. I'm going to help them because I've seen in my own life, and especially recently, if I put out that good energy, they'll come back, even when I'm not even needing it. I mean, it's surrounded me because I'm serving and I'm helping other people. So I mean, that's my middle name. I mean, I live to serve. Over Before, I believe, when I was going through the battling depressions, I would serve. However, it was half-ass. I mean, it was sort of like I was doing it for myself over doing it for somebody else to make me look good that I was doing this. I don't do this
Mm.
to make me look good. I do it to be able to serve with my experience, to help people and allow them to, be uplifted.
Well, that's beautiful. And, it shows how evolved and evolving people are, including yourself.
Call
It's,
maturity.
yeah, and
Yeah.
Harvey makes a good point about your earrings, which I was very impressed with. I like the fact your earrings are matching Don's rings. You can make a couple rings out of that. Dennis is fundraisers can be fundraisers. So true, Natalie. It's your turn at bat. What's your new thoughts on serve?
I love what Dennis is saying about fundraisers can be fundraisers. I've done a lot of fundraisers in the past 10 years, and those were my favorite types of events. The painting events where, a corporation or a company or would reach out to me and say, okay, so we want to do a paint night and we want it to be a fundraiser. So one thing that's great about that is they have their own people. They can, tell all of the people that they know, and the corporation invite people to join. So I would have groups of 50 people that come and, participate in the fundraiser, often not because they wanted to paint. They just wanted to, that's what that's the activity that was being offered. So raising $1,000 for in one night for an organization, or it was just, it's so fulfilling, and doing it with doing something you love, and seeing an exchange that people would go, oh my gosh, I didn't think I was going to enjoy myself, but look at this. I participated in a fundraiser, and I go home with something pretty that that I can put on my wall. So yeah, fundraisers are great. I love to serve in that way. I miss it, actually. So sometimes I'm thinking, how can I do those type of events, like fundraisers, online with the same type of of classes. So uh, um,
There's a lot of nonprofits out there. I can hook you up with them.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I think the fun thing would be to do it from, uh, from my studio, and then kind of tell people this is what you need to get, and it's not expensive. A little canvas, a little bit of paint, or it can be something else. But having to set up for 50 people and like set up all of these like easels and paints and brushes, after a while it gets to be a lot. So anyway. What else did I want to say about? Oh yeah, so yesterday, one of my friend online, Dr. Constance, put out a message said, "I'm going to need help with the last, the last day to enter the 50 Inspirational Connection project is tomorrow." So I did a quick video and posted it last night, and I got two people saying, uh, thanks for your video. That was the last little push I needed to participate. So that made me feel so good.
Well, it shows how important collaboration can be
Oh yeah.
and how powerful it is because, like Christy says, with her network, our network, we're not just connections, we're front doors to really, really wonderful other people that if we can serve, knowing it's for the right purpose, the intention, the organization, that you're aligned with, that you relate to, makes it even more powerful. If you're supporting something you don't support, it will show through
Yeah.
and your service will definitely be diluted. And the key is, I think you hit it on the nose, Natalie, is how can you serve more people in less time and make everything more accessible?
Mm,
Right? If you're in a physical location, 99% of people here can never participate. But if you can open it up, and that's why what this is a broadcast platform that's leveraged off of LinkedIn for free. You couldn't get a free CBS spot tonight or a Super Bowl spot, but and you get to promote who you are and you get to serve better because once you love serving, you want to serve more, but you also want it to be, like you say, not setting up 50 canvases and brushes and doing the cleanup and the startup and everything else. Because if it's easier for you, you'll do it more often.
hmm
More people will share it with more people. And if what you're teaching is somewhat universal, 1,000 people watching would be the same effort as 2 people. And there's just not enough of that. And I know people love art. I know people love so many things. They don't know where to find it
hmm
and who to trust to work with when they find it. So we'll head back to Christy once we cover some more of these wonderful people. Live to serve and you deserve to live. That's a good point. Uh, as Chief says, everyone can be great because everyone can serve. MLK Jr. Dr. Joanne comes back with, I believe that serving is also being a voice for those who can't speak up for themselves. And if you feel you are more, you're capable of doing more without any minimization of yourself. So many people have it and they go to waste. It's like a delicious meal you forgot was in the refrigerator. Here we go with Harvey, Natalie. That was a great story. Wonderful to hear how doing a little means a lot. Every little thing adds up either way. Either things are driving you towards your goal or driving you further away. Dennis says your adorable front doors when you help to keep them open. Uh, it's all for the win. The last thing, things add up to big things. So right, Rita. So it's Christy. It's so great to have an interactive conversation with comments that are more than hello. Even though we love salutations and
I
how,
like you.
but it's really nice for someone to be thinking, sharing, and doing it to serve the other people in the audience, not just themselves.
The hellos are nice, but yes, this is the whole conversation, and that's always nice. I'm going to go back to Dr. White. I believe that serving is also being a voice for those who can't speak up for themselves. That's when I speak to everybody that I talk to, clients or consultations or whatever. That's for me. My goal is to allow them to have their voice, to be able to see who they are. I did a post yesterday or the other day with a picture with you know, duct tape over somebody, over the person's mouth. If we don't speak our truth, we can't be there for other people. And so this is what I try to teach people, um, to understand that we're here to serve others. I mean, I guess that's my belief. Going back to yesterday's conversation, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? I think yesterday was belief. But my belief is that we are here to serve and to assist others to be able to grow, to be better people. The ego's an ugly thing. We all have it. I still have it. However, when we're looking outside of ourselves to be able to help other people be better for themselves, it's the domino effect, but it's a good domino effect, because then it'll go next person, because they're going to be feeling how good they feel right there. So then they're going to pay it forward and serve the next person and the next person. And then we're all going to be all nice and happy. However, this is not society, because society, unfortunately, is not about serving other people. It's about how it's going to serve themselves. So it's how, and unfortunately, serving themselves is not a positive, but so many people do that.
Well, some people don't take it seriously, because they're giving it away. They just give it away nonchalantly or without, like I say, giving somebody a compliment without really making it feel like a compliment isn't a compliment anymore. When it's a throwaway or an obligation, that I got to do this or I'll feel bad. And you're doing it so you don't feel bad, not so much that someone else feels better. I think Kelly makes not Kelly, but Christy makes, and they're indistinguishable sometimes, makes a great point. The game is always between you and yourself. And you got to ask yourself, why do you need so much oxygen in the room in order to feel like you've accomplished something? And being an active listener, being a thinker while things are happening, and then wanting to just add a little to the apple cart, right? That you add one more thing that wasn't there before. And collectively over time, it's amazing. I mean, most art doesn't happen in a second. It takes time. Sometimes you can get a mad rush of creativity and energy, and it's wonderful to ride that as much as you can. But a lot of it is you're going to spend so much time on your own with yourself. How proud are those moments? How satisfying was your day? And usually maturity and time helps you adjust your priorities. As you get older, comfort wins out over style. And the same thing in life. Things that used to get you so excited still may, but they've been replaced by things that now feed your soul, feed your spirit, and make you proud. So with that said, Natalie.
I love what we touched on, giving someone who doesn't have a voice, and helping them, getting a voice. I was talking with my cousin yesterday. I call her my cousin, my sister, because she's more of a sister. And since she was 17 years old, she's been in the hospital with she's very, very ill, and it's gotten worse and worse and worse. And so anyway, yesterday I was talking with her, and now she has this conflict with her daughter. Like, imagine your own daughter not being able to support you and being very mean. So I was so there for her. I'm always there for her. And we spoke for like almost 2 hours. And I was like, Nancy, who do you talk to other than me? Like, do you have a support system? Like, she has her mom, but like, she doesn't have a voice, I feel. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to write your story. I'm going to help you. I'm going to assist you, because I'm getting pretty good with the KDP thing. And I I think you need to just get all of this out there, like what you lived at. And by doing that, you're going to help others. Your story needs to come out. So I sent her a couple of, things to do. And yeah, and she's French. So I'm going to have to, so it's going to be a French story. But I really believe that her story will help others. So I'm doing it like for her, but also for me, what I'm going to learn through it, and for others who are going to benefit from her
That's
story.
beautiful. And, you know, serving that way creates so many win-win-wins, right? There are no losers there. Everybody does better. And then it gives you the opportunity to say, well, maybe who's another person like this? And hopefully these
Mm,
shows start to transcend into events or opportunities for more and more people to focus on these types of situations, because I think Christy and yourself really are bringing voices back to people who thought they had one and for some reason it's not there anymore, or the people aren't there to listen to it, which is primarily the case. One's a physical voice, one is the ability to feel appreciated, worthwhile, deserving, and that's where you almost want to engineer the audience to be as honest as possible, but more importantly, supported, right? I tell people, because I do find doing the show so many times, is some people find things to disagree with, and some people find things to agree with. And I never advocate agreeing to something you disagree just to make it look good, but don't pick that out as the one the aspect you want to focus on, right? And
mhm.
how you promote others, how you support others, they remember, because most of the time, to Christy's point, people are competing with you. They're manipulating acts. They're not even playing fair, right? They're taking shortcuts you don't even know exist, versus, hey, how do I help you help yourself and then help me possibly to help you some more? So the reciprocation is almost adding one more part to it. Not just me and you, but you first helping me continue that. And in time, the person sees, hey, I can help you with that. I still have that. So everybody who's weak, on their knees right now, and don't have a lot of hope, there are wonderful things inside of you. There are beautiful things that should be expressed. And if no one's expressing them to you, that's even more reason to get your voice out, to hear yourself say it. Because when you say something, you hear it as fast as the person you're talking to, right? You didn't know what was going to come out until it happened. You don't have a script. And it's really a matter of choices, redirection. I always say redirect your thoughts, your relationships, and your actions, and you mix up the deck, get a new hand, and if nothing else, it's a new hand. So let me, Dean's a great guy. He's got a wonderful story. Good morning, Dean. Rita says gratitude is attitude. Dr. Joanne comes back with, in true service, ego takes a back seat. So right. Dennis says comments are better when open. Hello becomes heaven O's. Good. I never thought of that. Agree, win-win, and win is much more than 1-1. And you feel happy. Why not? If you got a free shopping spree and you could bring two friends, you would, right? Now everybody could participate. And it's like clapping with one hand if you're by yourself. You really don't make a lot of noise, and it doesn't encourage more of it. And that's what you can think of being an artist and creating opportunities and possibilities. You give somebody an object and it gets set down somewhere. You give somebody an adventure, it may never end, right? Like we said, serving is the beginning of a lot of future situations. So who are you serving? How are you serving them? And what could you be served with? And I think that's important. So, Christy.
Well, two things came to mind. So when you're on an airplane and you have to put the oxygen on. When you have a child, you put the first part, you give them the oxygen first. You serve them first. Correct? Am I correct on that one? Because I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't usually listen to the airline people. I'm like, whatever. I'm usually
You're right.
late
You're
by
right.
that time. But anyway, but we're serving them. We're making, and we're helping other people before we help ourselves. And then I'm looking at Natalie when she creates authentic pieces. And what we are, we're all a piece of art. And so when we realize that when we can serve, we can continue to create ourselves. So we're not into our ego. We're just growing of everything that we touch, and we're giving back. And it goes back to ego takes the back seat. We need to not be, we need to not grab on that ego. What is this in for me? It's
Mhm.
serving to other people, serving to other things, volunteering, tiding, it just understanding that the more you serve to other people, it will come back to you. And just having that mindset, it's more positive over, okay, well, I'm going to do this for this person, but so they've got to do this back to me. So you're making a contract and knowing, having expectations, having the disappointments. If you serve out and just let it go, then whatever will happen, and it's usually positive. They just go down the rabbit hole again.
Not at all.
Yeah,
That's very
in
interesting.
essence, what you're saying is if you can serve somebody and just by serving or getting some appreciation covered the cost of it, everything else is profit if it ever shows up, right? So you're already even or a little bit ahead versus Christy's point, which is transactional. How many times do you just say, boy, I wish they didn't give me that gift? Because now I've got to come back with a gift. And if this is going to be an every year thing, it's going to create, at a certain point, me and my wife decide we don't need to give each other gifts. We'll come up with a card or something because it's like no one knows what you really want. And if everybody knows, you kind of do it and get it whenever you need or want anyways. It's different if you're talking to a kid and they're looking for a doll or a toy and they can't wait to get it. But in most cases, you've gotten beyond that. And really what you want from people is love, is sincerity. Too many people disguise a gift as an excuse for something else. It's just the opposite of giving something expecting to get something. You're already wanting something before you give something. And it could be forgiveness, the reason why some people serve. It could be distraction. But that's the key to giving and serving is your heart, right? Because you can't put a price on that. You can't put a value on it, and you can't disguise it. And if you're not giving with your heart, you're kind of leaving half of it behind. And the half you're leaving behind is you, right? Because, to Christy's point, which is really valid, you can't help anybody unless you're strong enough to help someone. Unless you've been fed, it's so much easier to keep passing food out, as opposed to everybody's hungry and now who's going to get it? Or how long can you hold your breath before you need it? And that's just not a flow. And I think, everybody believes, they say faith is the belief in the invisible. When you believe there's more to what you see, when you believe there's more than what you know, then it becomes fascination, because the story isn't told yet. The ending isn't placed yet. I tell everybody who's running a race, as long as the race is on, you're in it. You may be behind, but you can catch up as long as the game continues and you don't quit. And I think a present to others is not only being healthy yourself, but knowing people don't have to worry about you anymore. that's a present in itself, right? When you say, hey, that person's self-sufficient, I'm so proud of them. I don't have to worry about them anymore. Because when you're in a funk, everybody who cares about you and knows about it is impacted that way. So by living for others, you're actually serving yourself and others in a way that most people don't get that deep. Because I think Christy's right. If you're lucky, some people are transactional. In other cases,
Oh, yeah.
they take a full loaf and give you half a loaf, and they make like they gave you two loaves. And meanwhile, you're way out of balance with everything you do. So, Natalie,
This is a great conversation. I'm reading what Ashif is saying. Just so letting go of things that no longer serve you, and it makes me think back to what Chrissy was saying. So, like giving of yourself, to give of yourself. First of all, you need to be good with yourself. You need to have done some work and not feel like anybody's out there to take advantage of you, to get you or something. So, if you don't have self-love, and if you don't believe that you can truly help and serve, it's not going to be authentic. So we always work on ourselves and on becoming more than who we are, and letting go of what doesn't serve us is like the negative self-talk and, oh, I don't think they'll appreciate it anyway. These people do so much more than what I could do myself. They're a group. I don't need to go and oh my God, I'm remembering of something. One of my aunt, during Christmas, like there's a lot of people and there's a lot of dishes at the end of. Am I echoing?
no,
No, okay. So that aunt used to sit down in the corner, have her little, glass of wine, and say, "Oh, I'm just gonna be in the way if I start helping. I'll stay here and entertain you or
We all have a
whatever."
family member like
Uh,
that.
yeah. So yeah, I think that loving yourself enough to know that you'll make a difference in someone's life is, half half the help right there.
well, and I think a lot of that has to do with trusting yourself. Once you can
Yeah.
trust yourself, to knowing what will happen, over time, experience does pay, is you get to realize when you say something or when you do something, you can fast forward in most cases and know where this is going, right? If you've had conversations with people and once you get into something, it always leads to this, right? It could be politics, it could be something else, and you decide, hey, I'm going to steer clear of that road, that bumpy road, and we're going to be on a smooth road, because how people remember you is your legacy, right? And did you leave the log pile bigger than you found it wherever you go with whoever you're with? I just love practicing putting a smile on people's faces when I'm with them. And that's where a joke, a laugh, a funny story, and that's where maybe self-deprivating humor in a good way helps, right? Because you say, in a way, I'm not perfect, but I laughed at it, when you say, you won't believe what happened to me. And some people might have thought, oh, how awful. And you could have said, no, it was so much, it was interesting how it all transpired. And looking at it, it was a new moment for me. And too many people try to say good or bad as soon as they see it. It's like you got 1 second to judge something so quickly. Instead of saying, how many times do you take a bite out of something and took the second bite to get the flavor? Whether it's a piece of chocolate or something else, and you just, I need a little bit more to get this. Or if people are describing wine or anything like that, you get into nuance and all this other stuff, but that's what makes it fun. That's what makes art worthwhile, is that adding that one little something that people say, wow, how did they do that? Or why did they do that? And curiosity really lends itself to service. Ashif says, ego We should make that a word one day. That would be a great word. Donald, I think that's beautiful. Loved how intently Christy and I were listening to you, all serving each other today. And I look at this, my most happiest, wonderful moments were around big family gatherings on a table. And it was almost like a movie playing out. That curious uncle over that weird aunt over that, finicky cousin of mine. But together it was like a symphony, And what would you give to be a fly on the wall to go back 20 years ago and just watch what inspired? It would be a miracle to most people. But here's the thing: you can be a fly on the wall to your next get together, right? And the past can create the opportunities for future benefits that you didn't derive earlier. How many times I know we talk about this all the time, all of the most traumatic situations in your life, if you were able to go back as you are now more involved, how different would have been the results? As a 10-year-old, if you could think as a mature person, you would think, oh, they're making fun of my shoes, so what? Or I'm making fun of them too. You're right. But until you grow to the point where you don't have a thin skin, you're not oversensitive to anything, because what happens is you give your power away to the person who now just told you something that you decided to own for a long time. They saddled you with something, and that's where maturity and say, no, this isn't going to fly. I'm not that dumb, or how can you even think of that? However you deal with it, what you have to know is the past gave you the opportunity for the future. Everything that happened to you molded you to this moment, and what you do with it now is totally your choice. So Harvey, who was only going to make a half a show, been a fantastic show. Sorry I have to run, but thank you, everyone. See you all soon. Keep serving and take care of one another. Well said, Harvey. Christy can attest. A wonderful gentleman, always giving, always helping, and not only that, he does it through the joy of his heart, not because he's obligated or owes something. That's the last reason you should give, is to pay a debt, right? Because they're independent of each other. And maybe start a savings account for people. So Christy, on 2/3 of the hour.
So going backwards to about, having to serve yourself. So I once had, during my depression times, I was living in Dallas, and I was looking outside myself and needed all these people in my life. And, I had all these girlfriends, all these people. And they would just, boyfriend's not calling me. I'd get those 3:00 phone calls, and I would be there for him. I'd always be there for him. And then I started spiraling down because I realized that I was giving them everything of me. And so this person said to me, they're like, we all have a teacup, and you're giving them the whole glass, the whole cup. You allow people to have the saucer, but you have to remember to refresh yourself. And so it's called boundaries for yourself. You can serve people, but you still have to take care of yourself, because if you drain yourself, then you're not helping them. You're just being there for them. And it goes back to what Dean said: you might not be able to love yourself enough, but trust yourself and have faith that your story matters and you can be the difference. And that's why I dance with my skeletons. I have lots of those skeletons, 61 years worth of skeletons. And so for me, through my dark days, I can now, as you said, Don, going back, if you were 10 years old for what you know now, would I change anything through everything I went through? Absolutely not, because it got me where I am today. And I'm able to have those stories and those experiences to share, to be able to say, hey, the light is there. You just have to find it within yourself, and then be able to share it with other people, because that's what we're here for, to share.
That's very beautiful.
Mm.
So well put. And you almost have to look at yourself at what you are as a work in progress. And things you started years ago that you might have given yourself an F or a D for. Now you come back and you grade yourself again and say, I completed that course now over the last 30 years or 40 years. I'll give myself an A there. Things can be revisited. They may not be changed, but they can be reevaluated as to now how you look at them today without taking away what happened the other day. And the more beautiful you are, the more beautiful you are in everything you do. And I think art, conversation can bring that life to things that kind of stop breathing at a point. And we always say in a situation, remember to breathe, get to basics, get to simple. Just breathe. Next thing, make sure you get some rest. You eat a little something. You're almost in your own ICU at times, right? And the big things don't even mean anything as far as dealing with the little things and letting people in. The other thing I want to show people is the most powerful word in the vocabulary is no. And to Christy's point, you just have to say no and tell people, I can't go with you. I've been working 18 hours. I can hardly keep my eyes open, and I probably won't be much fun anyways. Versus, oh, it's only one more thing. And that one more thing never ends. And then all of a sudden it creates a precedent that people say, oh, you're more available. I can reach out to you more. And at a certain point, who is honesty for? And it should be just like everything else, you first. Get straight with yourself. Get comfortable and then go out. Right? I mean, it's no different than if you're deciding your wardrobe for the day. Right? Take your time, put it together, be happy with it, and you won't worry about it. Right? If you left something behind or you didn't do something right, it's always going to be, and Jim Rohn told me a story, I'm old enough to have been conversational with a lot of these people, is the thing that troubled him the most is he had a shoe shine one day, and it was a great shoe shine. And he said to himself, should I give the gentleman $1 or $2? And I chose to give him $1. All day that extra dollar just pained me, and I decided whenever you're in between this tip and that tip, always give the higher one because the dollar won't make a difference, but the guilt will. And actually, it's kind of funny. I was reading something about Shaq or watching something. And wonderful guy. He's amazing. The stuff he does with food banks and everything. So the question was, I see you're a big tipper. And he says, yep. And he says, how does that work? I said, I go to the server at the end of the meal and I ask them, what do they think they deserve? And the guy said, well, what's the biggest tip someone asked for? And he said, $4,000. And he said, did you pay? He said, absolutely. And the point is he gives up control because he has control, and he has so much because of what he does. And there's a great show on HBO, and it got him and about 5 other people you'd never realize who spend their whole life giving, in ways that you would never imagine. And hopefully what that says, if Shaq or some of these other people can do it, and they're having so much fun with it. Mr. Beast, who made $41 million last year on YouTube, he's 23. He's been on there for 8 years. He just bought a $300 million yacht last week. And YouTube is not the major part of his income even. So the point is, if you look, he started out, he had a video, I don't want to get too deep in this. He found a homeless man with a sign on the street, and he came up to him and gave him $10,000 cash and took him to lunch and treated him to a great lunch. And it kept growing. And then he went into a supermarket and said, I want to buy everything. And then he called up like 3 food banks and said, come on down here and load up. But the videos went wild. And in essence, he did so well for himself by starting out by giving so much to so many people. And that's an example that when you enrich people, you enrich everybody because it ripples. Ashish, uh, one of Faye's, if you are more fortunate than others, build a longer table, not a taller fence.
Absolutely.
So right. And, who wants to eat by themselves? They say, it's lonely at the top. You don't want to get to the highest level of achievement and look around and say, everybody got left behind. I was so ambitious, I forgot who I came with and who brought me here. That's not a legacy. So, Christy, we're coming up on 50 minutes here. This has been a lively, interactive, fun show. I mean, it's actually therapeutic for the 3 of us.
Right.
What we did was feed each other more food for thought and perspective. That alone would be worth it, but we're able to bring and be part of so many other wonderful people.
Well, I mean, what Shaq does, and there's so many people, as you said, you don't realize that what they do for a lot of people, and that's what I do. I'm not making money of what I'm doing, but I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it, for me, and this is not my ego, but it's because I'm in a place of my life and through my struggles to be able to help other people. Or open doors for other people. But having that longer table, so many people that are wealthy and, climbed up that ladder and they're at the top, they're lonely. They're not happy. So, the main thing is you want to be happy. And I always go back. You've got to be happy with yourself. You've got that power and you have a purpose. I mean, those are my hashtags. I mean, your mental health is what's going to be the best gift that you give to yourself. And with that, you're going to be able to gift it to another person to understand that. I don't believe in a box. I don't believe in sitting in a box. I don't believe in not having conversations that are tough. Politics, everything like that, bring it on, because I'm going to learn from somebody else. And I used to be not as soft. I've been called not really nice words in my lifetime because I was very hard. I had the walls and intimidated people. And then, but that I realized it's because I was living in my ego, and I wasn't giving myself justice and kindness. And so when we serve kindness to others, we're opening their box that they're living in and seeing so much what everything else is out there for them to be able to live to the fullest. And, don't be ashamed of anything that's ever happened to your life. I mean, yesterday, the ladies were talking about, abuse. I mean, I've mentioned, my rape. Every story is going to serve somebody else's story and make them understand that they're not alone and that they can now serve others. It goes back to the trickle effect.
Well, the key word, I believe, is not being alone. And when you realize that everybody has or has gone through in one way, shape, form what you're going through. And that saying, but for the grace of God, there go I. Right? When you look at anybody, it could be you. And those people didn't grow up planning that. They were the same people in 3rd or 4th grade out in the playground having fun. And for whatever turn of life, they ended up that way. But they don't have to end that way. That's the key. It's a situation they're in, not a situation with themselves as much. And when people understand it is environment, there is a point where you need to give somebody a helping hand because they deserve it. And I've had people give and do things that I asked them, why did you do this? And I loved that they would, and they did. And most of the time it's because I can, right? And you know, I was dealing with a guy who took 3 companies public, sold 2. I mean, the guy is like got money all over the place. But you know, we got to know each other as people first, you know, and as humans first. And you know, I had a cousin who was fabulously wealthy, and he'd come by, and you know, and he lived like in a compound and everything else. And I say, you know, the most valuable house in the neighborhood is the one with the most love and laughter.
Mhm.
That's what you can feel. Wow, can't wait to get home to these people and the fun we're having. And it could be just sharing popcorn with a movie, right? It's the
Mhm.
who that makes the what worthwhile, you know? And it's the coming together that makes everybody stronger and better and gives people that, hey, if you're with me, I'll, right? How many times I can't go alone? You know, I'm just not going to do it. But if you want to take me with you, or you want to be there with me or for me, then I'll go ahead and take that step. And that's where our saying, if you can't do it, could we do it together? And then people don't have to feel like I got to have everything right all the time, because if I wait for things to change, I'll be waiting for a long time. And the other thing
Mhm.
is, you got to be able to look here in the eye and make it blink, you know? And when you can do that and say, nothing is going to stop me, you know, when you commit to being undeniable, things start changing and the people around you start changing, you know? Is I'm going to be the lead here, you know, while everybody's sitting there waiting and thinking, I'll go out, you know. I'll tell you one quick joke about being the first. There were 3 people on the boat, 3 guys, and the boat, you know, the motor went in the thing, didn't have any oars, and someone had to swim to shore to get some help. So the first one was a doctor, and you know, he started, you know, and there were alligators, and as soon as he jumped in, an alligator ate him. So then there was a uh, another person, a dentist. Same thing happened. Then the lawyer goes out, and all the crocodiles lined up, and he just walked on their backs. Somebody said, "How'd you do that?" And he said, "Professional courtesy." So you know, I think when people can put things in context, you know, and a little humor goes a long way. We don't talk enough about laughter and levity,
Mm.
because levity by itself says raising, right? You raise people's awareness, consciousness, and when you can make fun of yourself and laugh at yourself, where people who used to say things you take it personally, you know, and that also shows people can't get to you. You know, when people try to do something and you say, "I'm way ahead of that," you know, or save your breath or whatever it is, you feel proud that, hey, whatever comes my way, I'll get it. I'll take care of it somehow, you know? And one thing great about adversity, you either overcome it or it overcomes you. There's no sitting on the fence and not being on either side. And sometimes you need that push. I know so many times I lost things or got disappointed, but if that would have never happened, I would have never been opened a new door to where I am today. And sometimes life tells you the alarm clock's on. You know, you had enough of that. Now it's time to get into something else with somebody else. Rita, who's got a nice, juicy comment here. Our purpose and passion drive us forward. Our why matters as we choose which road to take at each defining moment in our journey. We all have different journeys, but when our journeys come together, that's a beautiful moment. You know, I mentioned I had a gentleman, a CEO, CFO, who was just incredibly intelligent, and every day to work, he would take a different route, even if it was going down a side street. So he'd see new houses, he'd see places he never saw in the cities. How many times do you live in a city and you never see beyond just what you do every day? You take the same highway to the same exit, you eat at the same Starbucks. And sometimes you say, let's just throw the cards up in the air, mix it up a little bit. You know, that's the other offset when you're totally responsible, like Christy was saying, and you're totally serious. That's the time you need to break away. You know, start dancing,
Mm.
start singing, do things just to get out of yourself and show yourself that there's more to me than this stuff. So it's almost closing time. Last words, Chris. Well, why don't we go with Natalie? This is your second experience in the week. How has this changed?
Mm. I'm sorry, you broke a little. What was the
How did
question?
this change now that your second opportunity?
Oh, I'm just enjoying it more and more. And I just want to end by saying that I love the conversation. And one last thing is the place I've been to serve the most was when I helped my mom when she got cancer. And I got to a point when I ran out of juice. It was so difficult. And then her best friends and other people joined in and, gave us, like, just brought more, help and service to the table. So it is important to have a long table because you're always going to need other people to help you recharge. So yeah, on that note, thank you again for having me, and we'll see you
For
next time.
sure. And Christy, we can't
I'm
thank
gonna do it. I'm gonna do it short because we're over the hour. But this is, as always, been great. I'm here to serve everybody. Well, that didn't sound really well. I'm here to help, and those that know me know just send me a DM. And see you on Tuesday with Harvey and Kelly as we talk about independence.
Well, sounds great. Sounds great. Can't thank you enough. Thank you, audience. You've been great as always. You make us shine brighter than we could have ever done without you. And look forward to tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to have Leslie back with Melissa Cohen. And then on Sunday, we've got Sarah. And then Monday, we're back to Gretchen. So have yourself a safe, lovely weekend. Go forward and serve and be served and share your success stories with us. We'd love to hear what these conversations have directed you to do or succeed with, because we want to get to the point where someone can say, well, if he or she could do it, I can do it. Or maybe it's my time to go forward. And that's the thing. Little steps taken over time compound. And before you know it, what is the Chinese proverb? A journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. Well, that's so important. So thank you again. Can't thank you enough. See you.